We all think we understand what it means to be generous. But what if I told you one of the most generous things you could do is actually refuse a gift? Today, we're going to dig into a fascinating 2,500-year-old story about the Buddha that just might turn our whole idea of giving completely on its head.
So get this, the Buddha is presented with a beautiful handmade robe, a really personal gift. And it's not from just anyone. It's from the woman who raised him like a son. His response? He tells her to give it to someone else. I mean, at first glance, that sounds almost ungrateful, right? So what was he thinking?
Just let that sink in for a second. This wasn't some random gift. This came from his aunt, the person who stepped in and raised him. She wove it with her own hands as a personal act of love, and his reaction seems so cold. But as we're about to see, it actually holds the key to a much, much deeper way of thinking about generosity.
And the key to unlocking this whole puzzle is tucked away in this ancient scripture, which actually recorded the entire conversation. It lays out the Buddha's logic step by step, and trust me, it's probably not what you're expecting. So, let's get into the story.
Okay, so our story starts with a woman named Mahāprajāpatī. Now, she wasn't just a devoted nun, she was also the Buddha's aunt and his stepmother. She was the one who raised him after his own mother passed away. So their connection was, as you can imagine, incredibly deep.
So she puts all of her time, her skill, and her love into weaving this brand new robe specifically for him. You can just feel the care that went into every single thread. And she brings this deeply personal offering to the Buddha, hoping, of course, that he'll accept it.
And that's the moment. That's when he tells her to give it to the community instead. This is the real heart of the mystery, because the Buddha often taught about merit. You can think of it as the positive energy or good karma you get from a wholesome act. And according to his very own teachings, giving to a fully enlightened being would generate the most merit possible. So why on earth would he deny his own aunt that incredible benefit?
To really get his reasoning, we have to first look at the initial explanation he gives her. I like to call it the ladder of giving. He basically lays out this really clear hierarchy that ranks the positive impact of a gift based on who's on the receiving end.
He lays out this fascinating progression. He starts by saying, yeah, giving to someone who is sick is a good thing. But then, and this is kind of surprising, he says giving to someone who is unethical is even better. Better still is giving to an ethical person, and right at the very top is giving to someone who is spiritually enlightened. The whole idea is that the merit of your gift actually grows with the spiritual potential of the person you give it to.
And the scripture actually puts numbers to this, which is pretty wild. Giving to the sick gets you a certain benefit, but giving to an unethical person, that's 100 times more powerful. Maybe because it has the chance to spark a change in them. And giving to a virtuous person multiplies that benefit 1,000 times over. The karmic return on investment just grows exponentially.
So what about giving to a fully enlightened being, like the Buddha himself? Well, the text says the merit is simply immeasurable. It's completely off the charts. Which, brings us right back to our puzzle. This logic only makes his refusal more confusing. He was denying his aunt the biggest possible reward. Clearly, there's another piece to this puzzle.
And there is. This is where the teaching gets really, really profound. The Buddha's wisdom goes way beyond a simple calculation of what one person gets. He's pointing to something so much bigger, so much more powerful.
Remember, he told his aunt to give the robe to the Sangha. So, what's the Sangha? Well, it's the whole community of monks, nuns, and all the practitioners. It's the collective, the entire ecosystem of people who are supporting each other on their spiritual path.
And this just illustrates his point so brilliantly. Giving to him, the most magnificent tree in the forest, is immeasurably good, but giving to the Sangha, well, that's like nurturing the soil, the water, and the sunlight for the entire forest. Supporting the system that creates enlightened beings is in the long run way more impactful than just supporting any single one of them.
But he doesn't even stop there. He then reveals the deepest layer of his teaching, and it shifts the focus completely. Because it turns out it's not just about who you give to. It's about the purity of your own mind while you're giving.
Think about how we usually give. Our ego is often right there front and center. I am giving my money to you, right? There's this strong sense of a separate me and a you. But the Buddha points to a purer way of giving where that whole sense of self just dissolves. There is no giver, there is no receiver, there's simply an act of generosity happening.
He explains that the purest form of giving has 4 parts. First, the giver is pure. They're free from any attachment to being the generous one. Second, the receiver is pure, not attached to the idea of getting something. This purity then extends to the gift itself and the entire situation. The whole thing becomes this selfless flow, completely free of ego on all sides.
And this isn't just some lofty, abstract idea that you have to magically achieve. The sutra makes it really clear that this pure state of mind doesn't just pop out of nowhere. It's the natural result of living a life that's grounded in ethical conduct, in how you act, what you say, and even in the thoughts you have.
So now, with this much deeper understanding in our back pocket, we can finally go back to Mahāprajāpatī and see how her story ends.
Once she really got this profound teaching that giving to the community was more powerful and that the purest giving is free from ego, she wasn't disappointed at all. The text says she joyfully offered her beautiful robe to the Sangha, to the collective. Her act of generosity just became bigger and even more meaningful. So to kind of sum it all up, the Buddha reveals these 2 key dimensions of giving. When it comes to direction, giving to the community or the system is more powerful than giving to just one person. And when it comes to intention, giving with a selfless mind is so much purer than giving with ego. The best giving, the true art of it, combines both, supporting the whole system from a place that is completely free of self.
And that really leaves us with a powerful question for our own lives, doesn't it? The next time you give, whether it's your time, your money, or just your attention, maybe take a quiet moment to look at your own mind. What is it that you're truly nurturing? Is it the story of yourself as a generous person? Or is it the simple, pure, and boundless capacity for generosity itself?